Okay, welcome to another edition of In the Crates. I'm Ben Slowey, back from it's been a couple weeks since I've done one of these, but I'm excited because I get to talk to a dude who I've known for quite some time, and it's my first time getting to interview him and talk to him about music. He's a DJ, part of the house party, Funky Fruit, as well as a uh, producer of electronic music himself. He's uh, doing a lot of really fun things all the time around Milwaukee, and I'm excited to welcome him to the show. Asher Gray, thank you for joining me this morning.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for having me, Ben.
You bet. Yeah, dude. How are you? How have you been? What's been going on?
I'm good. Just kind of gearing up for the summer and getting, a bunch of different events kind of scheduled and organized and doing some of that prep work for what's to come in June and July and August. May already, there's a bunch of stuff going on. Been working on a lot of music lately. My good friend and kind of like DJ partner that I've been working with for the past few years and I are starting a record label um, under Club Rituals, the Club Ritual name, which is something that I've started years ago, and we're gonna try to do a little some EPs, release them digitally. So just kind of trying to get some of that logistically set up and yeah, I feel like I've always got a bunch of plates spinning in the air, so
Yeah,
yeah, it's an exciting time for sure. I always really look forward to the beginning of the nice weather and everybody gets to go outside. There's lots of events outside, and yeah, it's a little bit of a change from being indoors and throwing parties and dive bars. And not that I don't love a good dive bar, but I do.
right.
um One might even say I spend more time in some of these bars than I do in my house. But yeah, just kind of gearing up for summer and some other cool things on the horizon.
Awesome, dude. Sounds like really fun stuff. Are you referring to when you say your music partner, Greyhound?
Yep, yeah, Dylan Greyhound. I asked him to be part of Club Ritual in I think 2021, kind of after some conversations and we did some collaboration on a few like virtual events during the pandemic, which was cool. And obviously, I think everybody took a step back and was like reevaluating their life and things that they were into. And I was no stranger to that concept. And I've been running Club Ritual for I don't know. At that point, it was probably 5 years, and I was like, I think it might be time to bring on a partner. I've worked with lots of different people over the years, throwing parties collaboratively, and I kind of took a step back to like focus on just doing what I wanted to do and solely taking on the commitment of those different parties. Or Club Ritual was like the first one that I was like, this is going to be I'm running this solo.
Yeah,
But then during the pandemic, Dylan and I really connected on a personal and like musical level. And we were just so excited, like when stuff started opening up again, to like kind of try to put our vision, our collective vision forward with what we do. So yeah, but it's kind of evolving now. And, um, over the past 9 months, we've kind of taken a step back from throwing parties under that name to focusing on some of the solo stuff that we're doing. And now that it's summer again, we're going to be starting to do some more Club Ritual events, but we also wanted to kind of like see if we could add another layer to that. And I both always wanted to release music, not only our own music but other people's music, and so we
yeah,
kind of hatched the idea to try out a record label. And I don't know if it's going to be something that will be a long-standing part of the Club Ritual name, or if it'll just be a couple different releases. But we're going to give it a shot. And I think at this point in the music industry, it's so easy to do that and just release stuff. And You're not beholden to a bunch of other people telling you what you can and can't release. And yeah, it'll be interesting, and I'm excited to kind of like learn from that experience and see what happens.
Right on, dude. Very excited. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, yeah. There's since we've been covering uh really kind of ramped up our coverage and breaking and entering and trying to like you know um be able to like uh encompass like a lot of different niches of music. We have found a lot of really neat stuff in the electronic realm that's been coming out over the years, and it's cool that not only that you've been a part of it, but that you and Dylan and Club Ritual will you know continue providing a platform for others to as well. Um,
yeah,
so yeah, I guess I want to take it back for a sec here and ask you a little bit more about just kind of how you got started as a DJ. How did everything really kind of originate for you?
yeah. So we when we were talking off or before the interview started about like my other musical life, I'm a musician too. I play traditional Irish music. I play a couple different instruments, and I've been doing that since I was 12. And that's really like a dance focused type of music. It's the music wouldn't exist without the dancing. The dancing wouldn't exist without the music. And over the years, just kind of like immersing myself in that culture. Um, when I was 16 ish, my friend turned me on to Daft Punk Homework, which is like such a cliche, but at the time it was like really one of the like more accessible, if you can even call it, like forms of like everybody just used to call it techno back in the day. But it was, tried and true like techno and house music, like if we're getting into like subgenre specifics. So I got really into that album, and from there, at the time, Summerfest was doing a dance tent they called it, and it was run by this local DJ Rock D, and he had been around forever. He at that time he was really involved in the hip hop community, but he also played like other types of music. He played house and stuff like that. We ended up going down to one of those nights when they had the dance tent, and it was like literal life changing experience for me. There was like ravers there. I didn't know what that was at the time, but there's these people doing like liquid dancing and like break dancing and popping and locking, and like it was similar to music to what I was hearing on the Homework album. And I like did like an overnight shift. I like went back the next night, and I like found whatever clothes I had that kind of like matched that aesthetic, and like put them on and was like, I'm gonna be a raver now.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so that was kind of the beginning of it. And I would say that Rock D for me, being a 16-year-old, was like a really important person in the community, showing like on this bigger stage, literally like what it was all about. Because at that time it was all underground, raves and a lot of that stuff I wasn't able to experience because I was 16 and my parents were pretty strict at the time, and I couldn't go out to like a cornfield in, Platteville and go to like an underground party or a warehouse or whatever. So yeah, that just like really launched my obsession with house music at the time. And it was, yeah, I just like went full in at that point and got turntables, saved up for turntables by the next year, and was like, I'm gonna be DJ. Like, yeah, it was. I had a couple friends that were kind of into the same thing, so we were all just like gonna learn how to scratch, and like, yeah, it was kind of one thing led to the next, and we just, here we are, or here I am. I'm almost 42 now, and just I'm still doing the exact same thing. So
That's
I love
great.
it.
Yeah, you found you found your calling. So
Yeah, for
no
sure.
reason to stop now. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's awesome, dude. So do you remember like what your first gig ever? Like the
I
first time?
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was, so that same friend. We were still in high school, and his friend was having like a graduation party, and we ended up DJing for that graduation party. But it was like I didn't really know what I was doing at the time. We were just kind of like I kind of knew how to mix records and probably pretty horrible at it, but it was like a totally judgment free zone at the so everybody that was there just thought it was cool that there was like two guys with turntables, playing records or whatever. So but yeah, I don't know if that was my real like first professional gig, but in 2002 I was in college and I had been going to the River Horse, which is now High Dive, quite a
Oh,
bit. Like I was going, I don't know, I just discovered like bar culture, I guess, at the time. Like I wasn't even like into drinking or anything before that. Like I was just like kind of a weird straight edge kid and who didn't listen to like that kind of music. I was just like going to raves, being totally sober. And yeah, we found this cool little bar called the River Horse, and they had this thing called Raffle Night, and I just started going every Sunday, and it was so fun. And I was like, really wanted to kind of like get a gig, and I gave them a mix that I made at the time. And they were like, yeah, you can come and DJ here. We'll give you like a Saturday. And at the time, I didn't even really have a DJ name. They called me 80s guy because I was like, I had like a mullet and I was super into 80s music and stuff. And the mixtape, it was like half 80s music, half like house music. So yeah, I got a gig 2002. And it was like, yeah, life changing experience. Got to do it all on my own. And yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, I'm still like literally playing in that same exact spot. Like, I specifically like built a DJ booth for Jason at High Dive so that I could keep it in the window. And that's where I started playing. But yeah, it's that building will always hold kind of a special place in my heart. It's just like where it all started for me, like being able to play in front of people professionally.
yeah, no kidding. You've got some lore.
Yeah,
With
yeah, the lore.
awesome, dude. Yeah, you want to share a little bit about Funky Fruit and kind of how it started and just what it's all about?
Yeah, so I started Funky Fruit probably 2017-ish, I think is when that name kind of like became the name of the party that I was doing there. Um, I had done the original party was called Fresh to Death at River Horse, and I did that for years until they closed. And then it got sold to, or I shouldn't say sold, but George from Corazon opened up Impala Lounge, and I did a few gigs there. But I kind of at that point like had taken a break from playing, and I was doing stuff at Red Room, which is now Finks. I was doing stuff at Miramar, a bunch of the other spots. We had this party called La Freak at Hotel Foster, which is really taking up a lot of my time. So I kind of just like taken a break from that specific building. But then when Jason McBrady bought it, I was like, man, that would be fun to get back in there because I feel like Jason's going to bring it back to the old. I mean, he was like a regular ad for River Horse, and I kind of felt like if anybody could bring back that vibe, it was going to be him. And for sure enough, he did. Like I always tell him like the bathroom, you can't ever have the men's bathroom or the front bathroom be fixed fully because like that's just how it has to be. Like that it's kind of the vibe of that place is like it's grimy in a great way. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I started doing stuff there again, and eventually I was like, I don't know how I even thought of the name, but I was like, Funky Fruit is kind of encompasses like what I do there. It's like a little off, it's a little different than like what I was doing in other uh, venues at the time. So, but yeah, it's just kind of taken on a life of its own now, and I've I've really like bumped up the production value there. I would say like I bring in like doing like visuals and projection, and I got really into like LED lighting over the holidays this year, and I built some like light tubes and try to make it a little bit more like immersive experience. But yeah, it's a one man show. I go in there and set up for a couple hours and go home and then come back and play like 5 hours of music, and it's great. I love stretching out and like taking the reins the whole night and trying to show like or make connections between different types of music. And it's all dance music related stuff, but maybe starting off with some disco earlier on, transitioning into like house, Chicago house, some Detroit techno, and then moving into kind of like more modern stuff. Um, Tempos get faster throughout the night. That seems to be kind of a theme of what the scene is into these days. It's like really fast stuff. So I kind of try to like ramp it up throughout the night until that last hour when we're really like this going 145, 150 BPM, super fast pounding stuff. So yeah, it's super fun. I just I don't know. My wife might disagree because I don't get home till like 4 a.m. and then I'm totally dead the next day. But yeah, it's great. I love the fact that I'm still playing there, and yeah, it's a great space.
Right on, dude. Sounds like a great time. And I understand you've had like other DJs come on and join you kind of like as guests, right?
Yeah, so for the most part, it's solo, but there have definitely been some like off the cuff moments. Like Dylan Greyhound is always there. He just always comes and supports and hangs out. I actually started having him. I bought an old like video mixer, and I was like, dude, you have to be my visuals guy now. Like, I'm gonna make you like run the video mixer. But yeah, he'll throw down some tracks here and there. My good friend Don Black has come over. Jessica Fortune, who she lives in Chicago now, but every once in a while she'll come down, throw on some tracks if she's there. But yeah, for the most part, it's just me doing it. It's kind of like it's my little treat for myself of like something that I can count on that I can always just like know that I'm going to be able to play the whole night and share like all the new music that I have. And for me, that's like really important because I feel like a lot of times when you have like a stacked lineup, you kind of have to really like focus in on like what you want to the sound that you want to play for the night. You might only have an hour or something, and this specifically allows me to kind of like I said, spread my arms and take people on like a really expansive journey rather than just like a super short focused hour of music or something.
Yeah, yeah, right on. Yeah, sure. Yeah, dude, it's cool kind of that you kind of segment the night into like different phases of like styles and sounds into like the faster tempos. That's a good way to pace the night for sure.
Yeah. I always have a couple like beatless or like way more down tempo-y tracks that I play in the beginning. I'm always like worried that the regulars that are there early in the night are gonna like start falling asleep as I'm playing. Sometimes I'm playing like ambient stuff for the first like 15 minutes, and I'm like, I promise I'm gonna bring the energy up, but you gotta like get through the first 15 minutes with me and like enjoy it. Maybe meditate for first 15 minutes or something.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. Um, no, that I mean, but there's definitely a time and place for that in a really like hectic dance set. The
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
uh,
A breather, right? Gotta take
exactly.
a deep breath. Yeah.
Yeah. So you put out an EP last year, Undertow, and yeah, really enjoyed the EP a lot. I would love to hear a bit more about kind of like what you wanted to do with this body of work and what went into it, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so it was really the group of songs that I kind of selected with um, Keith Sweaty from Formed by Glaciers, which is the label that I put out. Like he and his wife run that, and I met them kind of during the pandemic as well, or like right when things were opening up again, and they were really like into what I was doing, and I also was like I just wanted some help to kind of polish some of the tracks. So I had Keith, I hired Keith to do the mix down for the tracks, and he was like, "Hey, what if we like release these on our label?" Which I was absolutely into that idea. And so we kind of spent, you know, a few hours over the course of a couple weeks um, working on the mix down, and he kind of gave me little bits of direction here and there, and we finished them up and put them out. But the tracks themselves, like Undertow specifically, was something that I had finished, and it was probably 2018 or something. So that track had already been done for a long time. And that was kind of like I would say the sound for the EP was all based off of that specific track. Like there was like an emotionality to that track that I really liked, and I don't think I had been able to like capture that up to that point in my production. So I tried to kind of like work off of the same emotionality of that song and make a couple others that were I think similar, but maybe a little bit more club ready. Just better for the club and maybe a little bit more energetic. But yeah, that I would say that that's definitely like my favorite track off of the whole thing. Uh, it's just like yeah, I don't know. I feel like every once in a while when you're making music, you kind of just like stumble on specific sounds that like work really well together, and that was that for me. And like I had worked on that track quite a bit. Like I had gone through some different iterations, and my workflow a lot of times is like working in what I have a day job, and when I take my lunch break, I try to like hop on my other laptop and like
Yeah.
work on stuff.
Yeah.
And that was one of those too where I wasn't even in my studio. I was just like at work on my lunch, and I was like came up with I like got the different core pieces together, and I was like, this is it. This is the sound. Um, and yeah, just I love water too. Like I swim 4 times a week. Love being in water. I have a boat. We go out on the water. So like water's always been like a pretty
Water's tight, dude.
special, yeah, special
Un-
theme to
Water
me.
is underrated.
It is
Even
underrated.
dare I say.
Yeah. We drink it all day, and I think we can appreciate it in that way. But like being in water, being on the water is it's a yeah, it's an amazing experience. So I was yeah, that to me I kind of evoked the same feelings for me, like the song and like the feelings that I get when I'm in the water or whatever. So yeah, that's kind of the theme and the core vibe of the EP is kind of water based, and yeah, I thought the name Undertow was pretty fitting for that one. Um, but yeah, it's definitely like my favorite release thus far over the years of putting stuff out. But yeah, and it was cool to work with somebody really specifically on the mix too, because normally I'm kind of doing the mix on my own, and then I'll get it mastered through the label or whoever's releasing it. But this is a little bit more involved where we're specifically taking time to like figure out how each individual piece is going to like best um, fit together and mix down. And Keith is really good at like dynamics as well, and like working in. He does a lot of automation, which is cool because that's something that I haven't really done a ton of. But yeah, I thought it turned out really well, and I'm really happy with it. I hope more people get to hear it. Because I feel like it's flown under the radar a little bit, but yeah, I appreciate. I mean, even just talking about it here is cool because like, yeah, it's a piece of work that I'm really proud of.
Good, good. It's a great EP. I really enjoyed it. I
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it
particularly
kind of blew my mind when I met you that one night that you were like, dude, that EP is so good. I was like, oh, that's awesome that you heard it. Like,
yeah.
that really means a lot to me to have somebody just come up and be talking about my music.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I my pleasure, dude. No, it again, like I like electronic music a lot, and I seek that kind of stuff out, like especially locally. So it's just cool that again um that you uh are in that realm and enthusiastic about it. I particularly like the track, was it Graceful Expansion? The
Yeah,
first track.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
That'd be my number two for sure. I think that's the one that I play the most of, like when I'm DJing. But yeah, yeah. There's definitely like some good energy in that one.
yeah,
A peak time banger, I would say.
there you go. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It now that you're kind of putting context to the EP as like sort of um, representing water or themed with water, I can, given kind of the textures and the sort of uh, the cadences of that tune, that kind of makes sense. It does feel kind of watery. So
Cool.
yeah, I appreciate you uh, sharing more about it and talking about it. It's neat.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to like kind of dig in a little bit. I mean, even I think sometimes too as artists, like you make your work and sometimes there's like a real intention behind it and then other times it's kind of just coming out of you and it's you don't even it's like subconscious so you don't really even think about it, you just kind of like make it and then kind of unpack it later on. So yeah, it's fun to talk about.
Totally, dude, for sure. So that leads us to my last question here, which is what do you got cooking for this summer? Tell me about your plans and just what you're working on.
Yeah, so hoping to put out the Greyhound EP on the Club Ritual label. It'll be all digital distribution initially. Hopefully, there'll be some physical stuff down the road, like tapes or maybe even vinyl. I mean, that's kind of a pipe dream. In this economy, it's hard to it's hard to get vinyl pressed. Even just getting on a list somewhere is difficult. So, but yeah, so working on that EP. We'll definitely be out sometime this summer. We don't have a hard date yet, but it's the core group of tracks are done, and we're just kind of working on the logistical aspect of it now. And then I'm also working on an EP. Probably won't be the second one that comes out on Club Ritual. I think we want to focus on some other local artists. We've got a bunch of friends, throughout the years that we've been in touch with and kind of want to help release some of their stuff too. So potentially two releases this summer, and then we Dylan and I have a bunch of Club Ritual events in the works. Black Hat Alley for Summer Solstice, obviously being like the biggest one. That's June 15th,
Cool.
and I mean, honestly, that's like the penultimate event for he and I. The last 2 years, it's just been so fun to play back there, and everybody's such a good, happy uh, community event, and everybody just seems to really enjoy themselves, including all the DJs. So we've got an awesome lineup of local folks here that are part of the community, part of the scene. Digital Maddie, Data Exit, Don Black will be there, Andrew Optimist, myself, Dylan, Sanberto. I don't think I'm forgetting anybody, but yeah, there's flyers are out already for that. Yeah, it's packed. It's noon to 11 too, which is really fun. Like I've always wanted to do kind of like festival style party where we can play all day. And then yeah, I'll be doing Funky Fruit at High Dive May 31st. That's the next one. It's a Friday, which I don't usually do, but I'm going to try this Friday out, and then I'll be back on Saturdays for June, and then I'll be doing the River West 24 event at High Dive on that Friday in July, which will be fun. And then yeah, just some one-off. Like there's some other markets, night markets. We're working with Plume, Maggie at Plume to do some music for those, which will be fun. And I'll be playing vinyl at Promises for Love Tempo
Oh,
in
great.
June as well, which will be super fun. I don't even like bring my turntables out anymore because it's just like the environment has to be just right. I feel like so it'll be fun to jump on somebody else's party and play some of those records. I still collect records too. It's like a problem, honestly. Like
Okay. I
they're yeah,
it's a I've had to moderate myself a lot for sure.
I know. It's a good addiction though. There could be much worse things out there to spend your money on, but
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I've got a bunch of events and everything's up on my Instagram and my Facebook. And, that's probably the best place to find out what I'm doing. But yeah, a lot of stuff going on this summer, so I'm excited. Kind of like I said, took a step back, did a little bit, few less events over the past 9 months, and jumping back in hard this summer. So it'll be good.
Good stuff. Dude, sounds like you're gonna have a really stacked summer with lots of great shows, great parties. Excited to hear the new music from Club Ritual, and yeah. Also hope you get to bust out the Celtic folk too, from time to
That
time.
yeah, well, that's a given. I do that like at least once a week, so I'll be grinding away doing all that stuff. Irish Fest, obviously, at the end of the year too. So
Awesome.
if you feel
Oh
like seeing me do something totally different, stop down.
yeah, oh yeah, dude. Thank you so much for being on the show, Asher. I really appreciate it. It's really great to
Yeah,
know you and your
absolutely. It's a pleasure.
dude.
Great to talk to you,
Of
man.
course. If you're watching, yeah, be sure to check out Asher Gray. We'll be tagging his Instagram, so you can go follow him for all the updates from Funky Fruit, Club Ritual, and related events. Thanks for tuning in to In the Crates once again, and we will see you next time. Cheers.